Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Parsons, also known as Di Turbo. I come from the Welsh Valleys, from a little village called Cwm in Veiw, right up in the valleys, about 20, 30 miles away from Cardiff. I decided to do this because there is basically so much going on in the world today, and there's two problems I have with everything that's going on today between this virus and everything else that seems to be going on. And that is this mainstream media, particularly in the great country of Great Britain, doesn't seem to give anybody else's point of view other than what it's basically told to by whether it be the government or any of the other higher up sort of governing bodies, which include your pharmaceuticals and your military and everything else. There's so much going on. So what I'm basically doing is I'm giving a working class point of view. Now, this is basically exactly that, my point of view. Whether I'm talking a load of rubbish or not is irrelevant. It's just my point of view. But what I am doing this for is because we are one of the few countries where nobody debates on TV. If you've got a classic program like what you get on a Thursday night, Question Time, the people are selected not through a random process, but basically through a system where it's depending your point of view on things, exactly where you stand politically, and also the kind of question you're going to ask. If it's anything considered as too controversial, they will eliminate you from the system. So that is the only kind of debate we've got. It isn't a bad program, but it's politically motivated by whoever's there. If it's a question that some top whoever's on the panel doesn't want to answer, they will find a way around that question being asked. In America, you've got Josh Rogan, you've got all these different people on live radio every single day, basically saying what they want and how they want. In this country, we got the thing now called hate crime, where if you have an extreme point of view on something or somebody, it's now classed as an hate crime, and you can get arrested and done for it. So if you're racist, which is something that I'm very, very emotional about, because racism to me is nothing but a group of people, wherever they come from, basically using the word racism and somebody's color to just bully and abuse. I believe the racism doesn't even exist as the word. Black people and Asian people have been targeted for as long as the history books can remember. It's a battle, it's a fight, it'll never change. People's minds will never change. I've experienced discrimination of many types myself. I come from a poor working class background. My father, Ginger Parsons, has worked on the pit from 14 years onwards, paid his dues, didn't have much of an education. I left school with no real education, no qualifications. I suffer with dyslexia. I didn't find that out till 13 years ago, and I have had no help. And now I've come to a point in my life where I'm struggling that much that I just don't basically know what else to do. I've been treated very badly, but that's irrelevant. I am not a clever and well-educated person, but I have an opinion just like anybody else's. I'm very opinionated, and there's no doubt that in this world we are in today, you're held back. Like I said, if you've got an extreme opinion or a kind of point of view of anything that is what people call controversial, then you're told to shut up or you're held down. I don't believe in this. I believe in a free world. It doesn't matter whether you're racist, then that's up to that person who you're abusing to defend themselves and justify themselves. All these people, all these racist people and people that discriminate, they're just humanoids. They're poor quality human beings. They have no real insight as to what the real world is. There's a lot going on, as we know, in America. Of course, do I believe that there is some sort of hidden agenda with the police and why they're killing black minority and majority of people in America? I believe there's something going on, and I believe that the Black Lives Matter protesting, I mean, I strongly believe in an eye for an eye, and you have to fight for your rights, and I definitely believe in Black Lives Matters for sure, but I also believe that every life matters. There's so much going on around the world, whether it's racism, whether it's anything else. There are people dying and being murdered on a mass scale in nearly every country, including small countries like Yemen, and lots going on in the Middle East. So I'm going to try and do this twice a week, try and entertain you. It's not always going to be this extreme, as in it could be one week we could spark off a debate where what's your favorite album, what's your favorite film. It's going to be quite random, but this week I decided that I want to address this pandemic that's going around, this so-called virus. The reason why I want to spark off this debate basically is because I believe that the mainstream media is watered down. And this year, proven 100% that mainstream media, all they seem to have interest in 100% is to frighten people. That's all they do. Nothing positive comes out of these people's mouths anymore. And there is a growing number of people that, like myself, who believes that there's something much bigger going on. If that makes me a conspiracist, then I got no issues with that. But all I know is the facts, the figures, that just doesn't add up. So over the next 50 minutes or so, we're going to take this to an hour, hopefully. We're going to have a look at a few questions and see. I'll give you my point of view as to exactly what is going on. A good few weeks ago, there was a little piece of information that was delivered to the world media that sort of went under the radar. And that was basically that there was footage and satellites above Warham taken as early as last May, June. And the satellites basically showed that there was an very heavy degree of activity in one of their main hospitals, heavy traffic, as they say. Pretty much pointing out that something was going on in this hospital. Now, there's a growing number of people like me that certainly believe for this virus to spread as wide as the whole entire world, this must have not just come around. This has been spreaded for quite a while. And there's evidence, growing evidence, to say that this virus was starting to spread in China as much as, like I said, early last May, June. And of course, by Christmas, we started to hear more about it. And then by February, all hell breaks loose. So this evidence has gone under the radar, just like a lot of stuff that goes on in the radar. So here we go. We're going to kick it off with this. Where did the virus really start? Now, the World Health Organization, who 90% of people, I think, believe are corrupt. And also, there's a big connection between the World Health Organization and China. Certainly, President Trump, or former President Trump now, has a different point of view on the World Health Organization and thinks they're corrupt. I certainly think they're corrupt. Any governing body or any body that is run by certain organizations, whether it be United Nations, NATO, has a limit of corruption in it. It happens everywhere. It's not going to change. I mean, we only found out the last 2 or 3 years that there was abuse going on in some of the big charities, including Oxfam and other ones like that. And did it come as a real surprise to me? No, not really. So they said it came from a dirty, horrible little food market, if you can call it that, where there was these people. I mean, I don't know much about the Chinese. All I know is I eat their food over here, and it's beautiful. But the food they showed in this market, squid, live snakes, this stuff is, in my opinion, I mean, it's like something out of I'm in the jungle, get me out here, or whatever that crap they show on TV. So if you were Columbo, if you ever watch Columbo, this guy knows who the killer is before the killer are killed. Great show. Every week. Brilliant show. But this guy couldn't have done a better job. Within a space 2 weeks of this all coming out, they knew where the virus had come from, what city, what country, what market. So perfect. Came and he showed live footage of this horrible little market where all this nasty stuff floating about and no hygiene and all this kind of stuff. And it just, my opinion was straight away, this is too good to be true. So the rumors have it, you've got different people saying that it came from a testing center in Warren run by the Americans. There's a lot of rumors going around that this virus came from a lab in Canada. And there's another one saying it came from America. All I know is this, you've just got to look at the simple logic things that around this. Two of the biggest powers and wealthiest countries in the world, China and America, are in the thick of everything. One country's been blamed for the virus and been blamed for lying about the virus, and the other country has the most deaths, America. Coincidence? Well, anybody that knows me knows that I don't believe in coincidences. So, will they ever come to a conclusion of exactly where they come from? Well, the World Health Organization has now suddenly said that in the middle of all the chaos that's going on now, running up to Christmas, we are now going to do an investigation. We think now is the right time. Do anybody think that when these big powers, or like the British government, do these investigations and these, that any truth is going to come out? Well, I debate that no, they'll probably end up saying in the end sometime next year that they've done this investigation and it was proven that it was an accident. Yeah, natural disaster or whatever they call it these days. Is there such thing as a natural disaster these days? I'm not so sure. So we'll find out now in the next few months or the next year or two how long it takes and how many millions and pounds that or dollars it'll cost the World Health Organization to spend an absolute fortune, costing everybody around the world the money, and they'll come up and we'll whitewash and say it was an accident. There's no evidence to say it was China's fault or America's fault. But we'll see. Maybe I'm a bit cynical. I think I am. So, like I said, we've seen the footage, if you go online, at these photos of this heavy traffic back in May and June of last year, showing that there was something going on in the hospital. Now, this is where it gets, for me, this is where the first smoking gun comes out, if you will. British government, at the beginning of all this, when it sort of was more talked about before it all kicked off, so we're talking about during the month of January towards the middle of February, they turned around and said this virus is spreading like wildfire and it is going to change our lives forever. Our lives are never going to be the same again. I'm sure there's a song like that. Now, every other time a country have had a disaster, whether it be the massive earthquake in Haiti, which is they're still struggling now 10 years later, and nobody seems to be helping them. That's where all this great charity goes to. All these countries like Pakistan and India are having these weird, crazy floods, and we'll talk on a different subject about ARP. That is another subject altogether. They always say, well, we tough people, we will recover, no doubt. But for some reason, considering that the same government, the British government, turns around and says, well, we don't know nothing about this virus. We know nothing. It's a totally new virus we know nothing about. But they clearly knew enough to lock everything down and turn around and tell us all, frighten us all, and say, our lives are going to change forever. Amen. So, yeah, what did the British government know that we don't? And think about it, two things. This is what I look at. This is the rule of thumb that I live by. Politicians never tell lies. Yeah, of course they do. If politicians are talking, they're lying. Plain and simple. British government no different to anybody else. I mean, we're under rule now by a man who looks like Krusty the Clown, good old Boris Johnson with his lovely haircut. Glad I ain't got much left. This guy, we're supposed to put our trust in and believe every word he says. This is a guy that's about to break a massive law against the rest of Europe, putting us in grave trouble through next year. And a man that have already, in the last year, lied to our own Queen. God bless her. So do you trust him? I know what I think. The facts and the figures don't add up. Like I said, one thing that sticks out like a sore thumb to me that I just can't get a head around, and that is this. If this massive catastrophe that is unfolding in front of us is that big and that scary, then where are the United Nations for a start? Where are these people? Where are the Christian community? Are they all gone into hiding? Where are these people? Where are the Jehovah's Witnesses? You know, these people are supposed to go around and tell us everything is going to be all right. They've gone into hiding. They've gone underground. Where is the big countries? Why don't they unite and say, we've got to fight this together? Every country have gone off and done its own thing, including Great Britain. This is the other thing. If we are classed as the United Kingdom, then why is it every country in Britain gone off and done its own thing? Does that show solidarity? Does that show that we're together? Well, to me, no, it doesn't. And this puts fire in the lungs of the beautiful Nicola Sturgeon for her to destroy the United Kingdom as if it already hadn't been done, and separate from the rest of the United Kingdom, certainly from the Welsh Valleys, putting Wales under England's thumb in a big, big way. So, United Nations, the big countries, why are they all connected? Why are they all joining together and say this is, because at the end of it, this time next year, they'll be talking about this. They'll be saying, we should have united together. We should have gone together. One country could get rid of this virus. But what good is that going to do when every other country surrounding you has it? It's got to be done collectively. The facts do not add up. Then they go and tell us. They go and tell us that 97% of people that catch this virus recovers, makes a full recovery. So where's the problem? What's going on? What is wrong with what they say? And that is, it's full of lies. If this virus was not as bad as they're saying it is, in the space of the last 6 to 8 months, they've said that don't put masks on. They're no good. They only last 20 minutes. Now, I've worked in care for 13 years, and I know these masks are not worth nothing. But that have all changed. Now everybody got to wear masks. So they're contradicting themselves all the time. And nothing will ever change with that. Everything they have said the last 10 months, they have turned and changed and done U-turn after U-turn on every single thing that they've done. From the fact that they lied about Europe, calling them at the beginning of all this and saying, do you want to come with us into a big collective thing of Europe where we scout out the cheapest and best deals for the PPE? And they told British people that, no, that didn't happen. But they were called. Britain wanted to do their own thing, and it's cost us billions of pounds now. Money that we will have to pay back. So the facts, the figures just don't add up. Government's supposed to protect us. They're our last line of defence. The buck stops with them. Cock up after cock up is what the government has done. They have bought an amazing amount of money, costing this country God knows how much. For PPE that hasn't worked, has failed. The track and trace that is still debated now to this day, the companies that are dealing with that, is getting millions, maybe billions, for doing this, and they're failing. They're failing in a big, big way. A lot of people are making a lot of money out of this on our backs. And I ask this, plain and simple. If this virus is as bad as everybody says it is, take a look around you. Is there anybody walking the streets today suddenly dropping to their knees and keeling over and dying? Because I ain't seen none of that. I've seen more social distancing than I've seen that, and I ain't seen much social distancing over the last 10 months. I can assure you on that. Does not make any sense. So, the track and trace is a waste of time. But the kids still constantly saying that they're testing more people than anywhere else in the world, and the system that they got is better than anybody else in the world. So how is it a very highly populated country like Pakistan, which is very poor, parts of Africa, a lot of the islands, particularly the Caribbean islands, has got far more less deaths than ours, and is coping much, much better. If we are the so-called developed country, Rob, if this is so, why these small undeveloped countries seem to be organising things better than us. So, like I said, the facts, the figures just doesn't add up. What is going to be the final cost of this, and who's going to pay it? Now, my attitude is this: is the multi-millionaires or the billionaires that are in this country, when they're told by the Great British government that at some stage they're going to have to fork out, they're going to have to pay more taxes and all that, they're going to run for the hills. They're going to leave this country faster than a coyote in a cartoon. They're gone. They will be gone. And who will that debt fall onto? The great British public yet again. So where is this money going to come from? Because next year they're expecting the country to pretty much collapse. Pubs, restaurants shutting down. Small factories and small businesses will be no longer. 2.5 to 3 million people predicted to be out of work. So exactly where and who is they going to pay for this? I don't know. We got a social distance virus that attacks everything that we love. Socializing, going to pubs, going to restaurants, going to bars, nightclubs, big festivals, holidays, everything has been attacked. The pub industry in Britain has been on a decline for the last 40 years. In fact, everything pretty much in Britain has been on a decline for 40 years. I've just written a book called How Mean Is My Valley, and one of the things I say in this book is I've spent my whole working life watching this country shut down. Every industry gone, and pretty much everything that we've loved and cherished has disappeared. Next year, we will see the full extent of how bad things are going to get. The estimate is that I predict within the next 5 years that Britain will look more and more like a third world country. Pubs are not going to survive this. And the music industry, which is my biggest passion, music, is on the brink. And the great British government, Boris Johnson, his two friends, the lovely Rees Mogg, my, what a guy that is. I've told everybody, retrain. Get yourself another job, retrain for another job. So we can see pilots who got thousands of miles on the clock of flying time going up to the job centre and signing on with a job seeker's allowance of 70 or 80 pounds or whatever it is. Yeah, I can see that happening. And then turn around and say, yeah, you know, go on a course 6 months ago, retail qualification for free, earn your keep. And then it was stack shelves. Some of these people have been flying Boeing 747s for the last 30, 40 years of their lives. But now they're going to be stacking Heinz beams. So the great government are telling us there's no compassion with them. Retrain. There's jobs out there. Retrain. We are going to be expected to pay for all this. We have spent the last 12 years in a recession and in austerity. Cutback after cutback. And common sense tells me that the more they cut back, the more they store up trouble for themselves, because at some stage the roads have got to be fixed, buildings have got to be built, houses have got to be built, and the longer they leave it, the more it's going to cost, the harder it's going to become. All they're doing is sticking a plaster on a bullet wound. So another 10 years of austerity is on its way, taking us to 2030 plus. How much more pain and how much more poverty can they put people in? And not just this country, everywhere. I can only see that we're going to have a mass increase of poverty and people out of work next year. Houses are going to be, people are going to be evicted from houses and all sorts. It's going to be an interesting year, and I only believe that there's going to be trouble. The poverty in this country is a joke. The government, all the government has done is basically twist words, juggle figures. That's what the experts had. They've been trying to define what the word poverty means. They got an idea that says 63% of somebody's average earnings, if you live off anything below that, you're classed as in poverty. All I say is this: if you can't pay your bills and you can't eat and you can't heat the home in the wintertime, you don't need no government to tell you you're in poverty. You're in poverty. If you can't afford to buy a new pair of shoes, if you've got holes in your clothes, if you've got to go to food banks, you're in poverty. But the government says no. They're pouring more and more money into helping people get off benefits and paying the minimum and the national living wage. And basically all that is, every time they do that, council tax goes up, bus fares goes up, train fares goes up, everything else goes up. The famous in one hand, out the other. It's a joke. It's a lie. Great Britain have been on the decline for the last 40, 50 years. You look at this country now and you think, we won a war. The way this government is running this country now, if Hitler was around today, he could not have done a better job on destroying this country. So my question is this: should we now have a debate of taking the word great from Britain and united from United Kingdom? A famous actor, conspiracist, Navy SEAL Jesse Ventura said 3 years ago Then in America, as long as they got a two-tier party system, the Democrats and the Republicans, as long as you've only got them two parties to vote for, nothing in America will get better for working class people. In Britain, we have Labour, we have Conservatives, and I say the same thing there. They're taking this country down, not upwards, or not forwards. We're going backwards. If we have another 20 years of this, there'll be nothing left of Great Britain. Nothing left at all. We need new parties, new ways of thinking, a new direction, and it needs to happen soon. These people are failing us, whether it's deliberate, whether it's for their own cause, whether it's just incompetence, wherever the them free it is, they are failing us and failing us badly as they are in this pandemic. The system, just like in America, of voting in this country is a joke. And as long as the system happens, it will never change. Great Britain in general is just stuck in the past. All these higher-up people, the people that go to their lovely Etons and Cambridge and Oxford universities, are stuck in these old-fashioned traditions that are thousands of years old, and they're dragging us down with their traditions. And as long as this system in this country does not change, we'll never get better. Is Boris Johnson a good PM? Some people, like Trump, thought that when Trump got in, they thought that he was going to change everything and be a great prime minister, great president. And a lot of people thought that with Trump because he's different to all the other prime ministers. I think this man is the most incompetent, worst prime minister we're ever going to see, and we've seen some bad ones, including the fantastic Wicked Witch of the West, Maggie Thatcher. This man thinks everything is a joke. Lead by example, they say. Prince Charles and Boris Johnson at the beginning of the year comes down with a virus. What a coincidence. Did they really have the virus? Or was this to show to everybody, I've had the virus, you've got to listen to the rules, you've got to listen to everything we say, because I've had it and I know how bad it is. Me, myself, I don't think any of them. And then we find out then Prince William had it, but he kept it quiet. And then Trump, 2 weeks before the election, he comes down with it. Maybe for a sympathy vote. And I've got nothing against Trump. I believe in freedom of speech. A lot of people think he's an extremist. I do believe he's an extremist, but I also believe in having a point of view and being honest with people. You know, if that's what you believe in, relevant to whether it's right or wrong, whether you're a racist or whatever else, it's down for somebody else then to pull you to the side and say what you're saying is wrong. But you shouldn't hide your own point of view. That should never happen. If that is the world we're going into, I'd rather not be around today. Everybody should be entitled to a point of view, unless we're slowly going into a country like Saudi Arabia or Israel or one of these Middle East crazy countries that just have got no respect for ordinary working class people. If what I say is right, or if half of the stuff I say is right, when or where will this government be accountable for their actions? We're told whether you work in a factory, whether you work for the FBI in America or anything, you make a mistake or you do something wrong, you're accountable for it. So why is it we vote in governments? They go and do everything they want to do, whether it's destroying the country or making things better, and they never seem to be made accountable for anything. It'll never change. How many people out there? There's a growing number of people that, of course, we all call conspiracists. There's a growing number of people out there that, like myself, believe this virus didn't happen by accident. That it's a big setup. That there's a lot going on. It's a big conspiracy to hide the massive paedophile ring that goes from the bottom right away through to the top, including all sorts of organizations from the royal family right away through to the FBI, CIA, and the elite out in America and all these countries. Also, to kill what the Americans call trimming the fat, getting off and killing an excess amount of people for their own ends, and then controlling the rest of us. I believe in the next 10, 15 years that we will be all controlled. We won't be able to say anything. We won't be able to think different thoughts. We'll be all treated like robots. And robots and artificial intelligence is what is coming in the near future. It's already happening, and it will be taking over everything within the next 20 to 30 years, maybe sooner. I certainly believe 100% that this was done deliberate. There's a lot of people involved, including the great Americans. I mean, America is this amazing country. There's no doubt about it. A fantastic country. But it's a country that lives off a lot of lies. They go around saying that they're the minds of good people, that they try and dictate to other countries, this is the way you should live. We are living the proper way. But America are the only country that constantly interferes in other countries' wars for their own ends. And the only country in the world that have dropped not one, but 2 nuclear bombs. Mass murders on a massive scale out in America every day. So is America as civilized as they say they are? The ordinary public is, but the military and the real, what I call the puppet masters, all the presidents and the prime ministers in this country, in America and everywhere else, all they are is puppets. The real people behind it all are the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, the elitists, FBI, CIA. There is approximately 400 projects being paid for in America, secret projects nobody knows much about, and nobody will be told about, that's costing America billions every year. And nobody can have access as to what these projects are. So there's a lot going on. So do I believe the virus is setting us up for something bigger? Well, if I'm wrong, I've been wrong before, but if I'm right, watch out for next year, because next year is going to be very interesting. There's going to be a lot going on. How many have really died? We know politicians have lied. We know they've fudged the figures. They've swapped and changed the figures around. Will we ever get to the bottom of exactly how many people that have died? I don't think we ever will, because we know that there are people have been dying in their homes and they put down COVID-19 or the coronavirus. So it could be 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, nobody knows. All I know is this, that whether it's higher or lower is to suit the rhetoric of the big countries like America, Britain and Germany. This is where I might be at it. I've worked in care. This young girl came up with an idea back in the spring to start clapping for the NHS. Got no problem with that. They work hard. They save lives. A lot of them. Not all of them. I was caring in an industry that I now hate because it's failing miserably. When they started clapping for NHS and key workers, they always got to give us these little names: key workers, bubbles, social distancing. It'll all be in the next dictionary, next year's dictionary. They're clapping I didn't feel like an hero. I didn't feel like I was doing my job above and beyond. I was surviving, earning a wage. I wasn't here for the love of it. I loved the job. I was there to earn a wage. I didn't think about the virus, didn't think about putting my health at risk or my mum and dad's at the time. All I was thinking about was surviving another week and paying my bills. And when I looked into it, I thought, well, hold on a second now. We're clapping. What are we clapping for? A job well done? 40, 30, could be 50 as they say it is now. 50,000 people plus has entered the NHS and has not come out. So what are we clapping for? Failure? Are people heroes for doing a bad job? I don't know. All I know is 50,000 people haven't made it out of hospitals. I wouldn't feel proud. And the other thing is this as well, which people don't seem to think about, is a lot of these people that have put their lives on the line are not going to get paid any bonuses, are not going to have a big pay rise at the end of this for the appreciation by the government. They're putting their lives on the line to save people. Yeah, I know you get a lot of them say, well, that's what I come into the business for, to save lives and stuff. But when you are working for a government that tells lies constantly all the time, if you're like me, you get to a point where you think, enough's enough. This is not right. Why should I put my life on the line if I'm not being told the truth? 50,000 plus people have lost their lives. And the other thing is this. If you are at home and you suddenly catch a fever or you come down with any of the symptoms, this started off with 3 symptoms: aching back, constant cough. A lot of people have, I have, and I don't smoke, and fever, and then bad legs, feeling faint. If you come down with any of these symptoms, where is the last place you would want to go to get well? I don't think it'd be an NHS hospital, because you'll only end up a statistic. I'm not disputing how hard people work. What I'm disputing is, just like Wales when they celebrated losing a semi-final of a European Cup, the furthest they got, so they decided to celebrate. And I'm looking around and thinking, why are they celebrating? Failing. They didn't get through to the final. What are they celebrating? I don't get it. You only celebrate, you only feel proud if you've achieved something. How many more now in the art of winter is going to die from this? Will it go up to 60,000, 70,000? Will we then at the end of this, when we all get vaccinated with this cocktail of God knows what, they'll end up killing even more? And all these different little microchips and they are, they'll be put into our system so that they can see exactly where you are, what you're doing and everything else. If you're on a bus stop, they'll know where you are. They'll just type in a code and there you are. When you have all these, when this is all over, and at some stage next year it will be over, I guarantee you it. I guarantee you it. I'll put whatever I get next year in wages on the line to anybody. This will be over by June, July next year. It'll suddenly go away, miraculously, because of the vaccination. So at the end of this, are they all going to clap and say, well, yeah, we've done a good job there. 60,000 dead, but we've done a good job. Well, I'm sure the families of loved ones in care homes and in the NHS are not going to feel that appreciated, that their mums and dads have entered a failing system and have not made it. And then you've got to look at the long-term effect then of what people are thinking. Mums and dads at home thinking, did my mum and dad really die of COVID-19 in hospital? Or was it something else? It's a lot to think about. I worked in care for 13 years and I can tell you something now, it's a failing system on a mass scale. It's horrendous. And I could never look back on my 13 years and say I was proud to be a carer. I'm ashamed. You've got people in care homes and in the National Health that are looking after 20, 30 people, and there's only 2 to look after ill people. How is that supposed to happen? How can you look after 10, 20 people and there's only 2 of you? How can you give them the care and the attention? And I've worked with girls in different homes over Wales, and by God, they worked hard. They work hard, so hard. They deserve so much better. I got a bonus from the Welsh Assembly, and it was taxed. I got £340, but they give me a £500 tax. When is a bonus a £500 not £500 bonus, not a £500 bonus? When it turns out it's only 350, 340 quid. Or some people can say, well, it's better than nothing. Well, at least it shows appreciation. To me, it's an absolute insult. Every person in care should be given a free holiday in the future, up to a certain amount of money. And everybody in care in the National Health, if the government and people want to show the appreciation, put these people up to £15, £20 an hour, because that's what they deserve. And as we talk about key workers, carers in Wales were given a bonus. What about the taxi drivers who used to taxi me back and forth to different placements? The bus drivers I used to get on after coming home from a job where I was at risk because the virus was rampant. The trains I got on, the train drivers, the people in shops that stayed open. Where were they? Why haven't they got a bonus? Why haven't they been treated? 30, I think it's either 23 or 30 odd bus drivers in London lost their lives. They were given a little bit of compensation to families. And apparently in Great Britain, we're told now that a life is worth 60 to 65,000 pounds. That's all your life is worth. That's all you get compensation in your family if you die of this virus and you're a key worker and you're in the front line. 65,000. It's not a lot. So overall, it's a mess. And I'll go back to what I say, 2 things, plain and simple. 1, I don't believe the virus was by accident. I believe this is setting us up for something much, much bigger. I think there's a lot in just one thing. It's a combination of a lot of things. There's a lot of people involved with this. And this is as British government said at the beginning of the year, it's going to change our lives forever. I've already seen a massive difference in people's attitudes and people's faces. I observe people. I think that I'm a good judge of character, and I could see a big difference. People look scared. They look paranoid. That's going to take a long time. The after effects of this, the amount of people that are not getting treated for cancer, Parkinson's, all these other diseases that people die in the thousands every single year, and we accept that we could die from cancer and from the flu and everything else. We accept that that could happen, but this virus has suddenly changed everything. Then these people who haven't been treated are going to get ill, and they're also going to be a victim of this absolute crime of the century, because that's what it is. It's on a scale like nobody have ever seen. So next year, the year after, the after effects of this is going to roll and roll well past my lifetime. And I'm 47 now. Not bad. Will anything change? Because by 10 years' time, 2030, the whole plan will be laid out before us. And it'll be too late for anybody to do anything. But the good news is, 2 things. Is 1, when he's hired up people, these elitists, these people that think they're better than us, when they underestimate us. Usually that's when they started making mistakes. Everything tends to backfire on these people. They're not as clever as they say they are. It's irrelevant to how many billions they own. And secondly, there's a growing number of people now that's not believing this nonsense, that don't believe that it's what they say it is. You're having more anti-lockdown protests. We all know that Christmas is definitely going to be a very big hotbed of chaos. Because certainly in England, like the big cities in England, like Liverpool and Manchester, do anybody really believe that they're going to comply with all these rules and restrictions that they keep changing all the time deliberately to confuse people? I think it's going to be a fun Christmas. A lot of arrests, a lot of fines. And these £10,000 fines, somebody's out of work and they're claiming benefit, a great benefit. And they have a party and they get fined £10,000. Where's that money going to come from? How are they going to pay this money? I go for a system. I've just been through it myself. I'm up to my eyeballs in debt, struggling. Not embarrassed. Working class, poor background, struggled all my working life from up to my eyeballs in debt. And I've been trying my best to try and get help. And it's been a struggle. And I got told yesterday by a company, you can get this DRO, debt relief order. That means after a year, if my circumstance hasn't changed, they write the debt off. Great. But I'm skint. I'm got a bean to my name. And I got to find £90 to do this. If you declare yourself bankrupt because you've literally got no money, it still costs you £1,000 to declare yourself bankrupt. Am I the only one that finds this all strange? Very, very strange. So, how are these youngsters that decide to have their little house parties, which, sorry, I'm up for. If my attitude have always been, if the rules and the laws don't make sense, they deserve to be broken. That's my opinion. And when it comes to entertainment, if that is what they're trying to do, is to take the one thing that I love more dear than anything, then I'm all for anybody having their Christmas house parties and their warehouse house parties and their raves. Yeah, so anybody organising one of them, thumbs up. So it's going to be an interesting Christmas with these lockdowns and who complies and who doesn't. So that is pretty much it. I hope I've started now a debate. I hope people will start thinking now whether anybody believes I'm an idiot or I'm talking through my backside. That's entirely up to you. I've been judged all my life. I'm thick-skinned. I got skin thicker than a rhino. It's irrelevant to me. I'm 47 years of age, overweight. I don't care. But what I want to do is to start a debate. Are we being told the truth? And think of the other thing, the other rule of thumb I go by. If they're telling us things are bad, you can bet your life they're really bad. If they told us the real full truth of what's going on, it caused a mass panic worldwide. So we all know they're holding stuff back and telling us a load of lies. So have a think. When you watch your Sky TV tonight and your BBC News or whatever news it is, Al Jazeera, Press TV, that they banned off British Sky because they tell the truth or what they feel is the truth. Have a look at our news and have a little think to yourself, is this what is really going on? So that's it for today. I'll be live streaming next Tuesday. We'll be talking about mental health, depression, and my favorite subject at the moment that I'm very, very much interested in because I have it, which is dyslexia. So my name is David Parsons from the South Wales Valleys, and this is Working Class Point of View. First live stream. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope I am bored you to tears. And I'll see you next Tuesday.